Hi everyone, this is Ruchi Kulkarni. Today we are going to do the poem On Killing a Tree written by Jeev Patel from your class 9 book Beehive. The poem On Killing a Tree presents the sturdiness of a fully grown tree, strengthened by nourishment from the earth, the sun, and the air. The poem also depicts the survival instinct of a strong tree which refuses to die even when its trunk and branches have been chopped off. Let's read and understand this interesting and thought provoking poem written by Jeev Patel, followed by its detailed explanation, poetic devices, and rhyme scheme, significance of the title, message given by the poem, its summary, and question answers. But first, something about the poet. Jeev Patel was born on 18th August 1940 in Mumbai, India. He is an Indian poet, playwright, painter, as well as a practicing physician. He belongs to a group of writers who have subscribed themselves to the Green Movement, which is involved in an effort to protect the environment. His poems speak of deep concerns for nature and expose man's cruelty to it. His works include poems like How Do You Withstand, Body, and Mirroring. He has also written three plays titled Princess, Savaska, and Mr. Behram. He has been translating poems from the 17th century Gujarati poet Akho into English. He is 81 years of age and presently residing in Mumbai, India. It takes much time to kill a tree. Not a simple jab of the knife will do. It has grown slowly, consuming the earth, rising out of it, feeding upon its crust, absorbing years of sunlight, air, water, and out of its leprous hide, sprouting leaves. So hack and chop, but this alone won't do it. Not so much pain will do it. The bleeding bark will heal, and from close to the ground will rise curled green twigs, miniature boughs, which, if unchecked, will expand again to former size. No, the root is to be pulled out of the anchoring earth. It is to be roped, tied, and pulled out, snapped out, or pulled out entirely out from the earth cave. And the strength of the tree exposed, the source white and wet, the most sensitive hidden for years inside the earth. Then the matter of scorching and choking in sun and air, browning, hardening, twisting, withering, and then it is done. It takes much time to kill a tree. Not a simple jab of the knife will do it. The poet in this stanza tells the reader that if you want to kill a tree, it takes so much of time. It is not that if you just give a sudden rough blow to the tree, that the tree will die. No, it takes much more than that. It has grown slowly, consuming the earth, rising out of it, feeding upon its crust. In these lines, the poet says that this tree has grown slowly and it has consumed the earth. Consume the earth means it has taken nutrients from the earth, and from the earth it has risen above, it has come upwards. And what has it done? It has fed upon its crust. The crust is the upper layer of the earth, and we all know that the upper layer of the earth contains a lot of nutrients which are required for plants to grow. So this tree, when it was growing, it has taken a lot of nutrients from the crust of the earth, and it has, in a way, like slowly used up the earth to rise and grow. Absorbing years of sunlight, air, water, and out of its leprous hide, sprouting leaves. Now, what has it done? Over the years, the tree has absorbed sunlight, air, and water, because these are the three main things which a tree requires or a plant requires to grow. And for years, it has been taking all these three things, and a small plant has grown into a big tree. And out of its leprous hide means discolored bark. The bark of the tree, which is discolored, means it is not of a proper color, and out of that bark there have been leaves which have come out, which have sprouted. Leprous hide here is also a metaphor where the bark of the tree, which is discolored, which does not have a single tone of color, is compared to a patient of leprosy. A patient of leprosy also has discolored skin. So here there is a comparison made of the bark with a leprosy patient. So in this stanza, the poet is telling us that a simple cut does not destroy a tree. A tree grows gradually, it takes time, it is rooted in the soil. A plant takes nutrition from the soil to grow into a big tree. And the tree is firmly bound with the soil. It takes in sunlight, water, and air to grow into a strong trunk and have numerous leaves out of it. So hack and chop, but this alone won't do it. Not so much pain will do it. The words hack and chop both mean cutting something roughly. So even if you cut the tree, just by cutting, the tree will not be killed. And by cutting, you cause so much of pain to that tree. But that pain will also not kill the tree. The bleeding bark will heal, and from close to the ground will rise curled green twigs. Now, the bleeding bark here means that when the bark is cut, it gives out a thick liquid which is called as sap. So when you cut the bark, it gives out that sap. It is like as if the tree is bleeding. Just the same as when humans get cut, the blood comes out. So this bleeding bark is a metaphor used here, where the bark which is cut and giving out sap is compared to a human who is cut and giving out blood. As time will go by, this bleeding bark or that cut of the knife on the tree will be healed. And from the bark which is close to the ground, there will arise more green twigs. Twigs are small new leaves. So because the tree was not killed, you can see that new leaves will arise from the bark. Miniature boughs, which if unchecked, will expand again to former size. Miniature boughs are small branches. So the poet here says that even if the tree is cut, there will be new leaves and new small branches which will come out of that bark. In other words, the tree will start growing up again. And if this tree is again not checked or if it is not cut, then it will expand and become the same as it was earlier. It will grow up into the same size. So in this entire stanza, the poet is trying to tell us that humans cut and chop the bark of the trees into many pieces, but that is not sufficient to kill the tree. The point of the tree which gets cut gives out that sap, just like a human being bleeds. And gradually this would heal. And from there, new branches will start growing again. And if these new branches are not checked or if they are also not cut, then the tree can expand or grow into the same size again. So we can say that how much ever pain we give to that tree, the tree does not give up on its life. It will still grow up again. No, the root is to be pulled out of the anchoring earth. The poet here says that whatever you may do, you cannot kill the tree. So, what do you do to kill a tree? The only way is that you have to pull out the root of the tree, the same root which anchors the earth. Now, here, anchoring earth means the trees are held very securely with the help of the roots in the earth. So, anchoring here means holding on very tightly to the earth. And therefore, the root which is holding the earth very tightly should be pulled out to kill a tree. It is to be roped, tied, and pulled out, snapped out, or pulled out entirely out from the earth cave. So the poet here says that if you really want to kill a tree, you have to do one thing. You can tie a rope around the tree and pull that rope. So eventually what will happen is, along with the rope, the tree will also be uprooted. It will snap out of the ground. It will come out of the ground entirely. It will be pulled out. And it will be pulled out from the earth cave. Earth cave here means that earth is like a cave for that tree. It is like a place of residence for that tree. And the strength of the tree exposed, the source, white and wet, the most sensitive, hidden for years inside the earth. So when you rope the tree and pull it out, the strength of the tree is exposed. It has come out in front of you, which was hidden. Now, what is the strength of the tree? The strength of the tree lies in its roots. The source. The source means the roots of the tree, which are white and wet. They are white in color and they are wet because the soil is moist. The roots take water from the soil. And roots are the most sensitive part of the tree. If something happens to the roots, if they are chopped off or if the roots are cut off, then the tree cannot grow. So, this particular sensitive part, the tree had hidden it inside the earth for years. And because this sensitive part was hidden inside the earth for years, which had strength, which was the source of all the nutrients for the tree, now the tree is exposed and now the tree is killed. So in this entire stanza, the poet is trying to say that in order to kill the tree, it has to be uprooted. One has to separate the tree from the earth which supports it. The roots of the tree bind the tree with the soil in the pit of the earth or the cave of the earth. And from there, the most sensitive and hidden part of the tree, the roots, have to be detached. The roots are white in color and they are damped. And the moment these roots come out of the soil, the tree will die. Then the matter of scorching and choking. Scorching and choking means the drying up of tree after it is being uprooted. So when the tree is being uprooted, the roots are exposed to sunlight. With the help of sunlight, the roots will start getting dry and brittle. They will start drying up because as long as the tree was inside the soil, it was wet. We saw that in the earlier stanza also. But now after coming out of the soil, the roots will start getting dry in sun and air, browning, hardening, twisting, withering, and then it is done. So when the roots will get exposed to the sun and air, it will start changing its color. From white, it will become brown. From soft, it will become hard. It will get twisted and wither. Wither means dry. And now when the roots have changed its appearance, from being sensitive, it has become hard and dry, brittle, easy to break. And then we can say that a tree is killed or it is dead. Thus, in this last stanza, the poet is telling us that once the tree has been uprooted, then gradually it dries up, it withers, with the action of heat and wind on it. The roots will become brown, twisted, and hard. And then finally, we can say that the tree is dead. After this long explanation, let's now have a look at the poetic devices used in this poem. The first poetic device used here is alliteration, which is repetition of a consonant sound in two or more closely placed words. The examples of alliteration used in this poem are bleeding bark, where b sound is repeated, and white and wet, where w sound is repeated. The next poetic device is repetition. Here, a word or a sentence is repeated to lay emphasis on it. In this poem, the phrase pulled out is repeated. Therefore, it shows repetition. The next poetic device is metaphor. Metaphor is used in a poem when there is indirect comparison made between two things which are dissimilar. One example of metaphor here is leprous hide, which is the uneven color of the surface of the trunk of a tree is compared to the skin of a person who is suffering from leprosy. The second example of metaphor is bleeding bark. The sap coming out of a tree where it is cut is compared to the bleeding from the wound in a human's body. Therefore, both these examples show metaphor. When you come to the rhyme scheme of this poem, we can know that there is no rhyme or rhythm to this poem. So in other words, we can say that it is written in free verse and it has no rhyme scheme. On Killing a Tree paints a vivid and brutal picture of what is involved in killing a tree. The poet tells us that killing a tree is a difficult and time-consuming process. The poet ironically suggests how to completely kill a tree, since he describes the actual process in detail, which is also moving yet inspirational. The title, On Killing a Tree, is very appropriate for this poem. The poem conveys the message that trees are living beings just like any other form of life. They have strong survival instincts and can withstand any type of assault, trauma, or crisis. It is not easy to kill them because they have a never say die attitude to life. Thus, these trees motivate us to adopt this very attitude and inspire us to face every difficult situation bravely. That's all for now. Check the summary and question answers being flashed in front of you, and I will see you in my next video. Till then, take care and God bless you all. Thank you and goodbye.